Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to Plenary Session 1, Adjusting the Gender Lens. I am Alice Ferrer, and with me in this session, Ms. Louis Marie Ilariaga. We are both from the University of the Philippines, Visayas, and we are joining you from the Philippines. We are also having with us Hana Matsubara from the University of Tokyo. She will be our interpreter for this session. And she's with you there in Japan. She's on site. Okay, so this session will focus on drawing answers to three questions. Does social justice benefit women and men equally? Two, how to make men more supportive of women? And three, how to achieve gender equality in the future? The session will draw answers from three invited speakers whom I will formally introduce later, as well as from the session participants. The aim of this session is to identify how recovery from the pandemic can be gender responsive and also to identify the much needed work towards gender equality. So we are going to make this session interactive, okay? So we request our Zoom participants and also our on-site participants to be ready with your phones or your laptop, those who are joining us from their homes. All site participants, also please be ready with your phones so that you can participate in the questions that we will be asking of you using the Slido application. So we are using a Zoom webinar. So we have two rooms here. We have the panelist room and we also have the attendees room. If you're then meaning to say that only those in the panelist room can have access to their camera and their microphones. So I would like to remind us all of the session rules. Those in the panelist room, please mute your microphone and then close your camera. But of course, if your internet connection will allow you, then go for it. Those in the attendees room, if you want to ask a question later, then please use the Q&A box. And then everyone is free to use a chat box, but please refrain from using it when someone is making a presentation. Of course, please respect and listen, and please stay connected for the duration of this session. Now, we would like to know who are the participants of this session, including those in the Zoom room and also those on site. So please be ready with your phones or your laptop. We will, okay. So please flash the first question. So we have the first question here. Which country are you joining from? You have the QR code flashed on your screen. Please answer the question. Just point your phone camera on the QR code to scan it, and it will lead you to the Slido application. Or you can join using the link provided in the chat box. Please, it's already in the chat box. And please tell us, where are you joining us from? Okay. Yeah, we have from Canada, Japan. Where else? Me, Lou, are joining you from the Philippines. We have from Indonesia. More people are from Japan and Canada. This is good. More, please. Just point your phone camera on the QR code to scan it. So from Thailand, Philippines, of course. Okay. From Venezuela. Okay. So there are already 18 people. So more people from Japan, Canada, expected from Japan, of course, Philippines. So we have from Australia. We have from Africa. Okay, nice. This is really nice. Bangladesh. Okay, we have one here from the chat box from Mexico. Myanmar. Okay, so 30 more seconds. So far, leading here, 3 countries, Japan, of course, Canada, Philippines, Thailand, the 4 big ones in the word cloud. Okay, so thank you very much. Now we have a feel of our participants. We can go to question number 2. Our question number 2 is, of course, this is our topic, and let's see. What is your gender? Same slide though. Oh, wow. There you are. Okay. There you are. The men are catching up, 37% men, 61% women, 30. Okay, it's moving. Okay, good. It's not moving anymore. So we have 64% women, 65% women, 35% men. Okay, so thank you very much. This is good. So now I would like to introduce to you our 3 session speakers. They are actually in Japan on site. You can see them now. Their cameras are open. Okay. Let me start with our first speaker, Ms. Jaria Thornklang. She's a fisheries management scientist in the training department of the Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center, or of course, we know as SEFDEC. She received her Master of Science in Technology of Environmental Management from Mahidol University in 2016. In SEFDEC, she's responsible for fisheries management for the sustainable livelihood of small-scale fisheries in Southeast Asia. Currently, of course, SIFDEC is working to promote gender awareness and gender integration in fisheries for better human well-being in the fishing communities. Our second speaker, resource person, is Dr. Kumi Tsujima, an associate professor at the Faculty of Agriculture, Setsunan University of Osaka, Japan. She received her PhD from Hiroshima University, Japan. Her doctoral research thesis is the significance of local distribution of small-scale fishery products. She found the women's role there, and she continues to focus on women's role and issues in small-scale fisheries. She and other Japanese researchers have been trying to create networks, Umi Hitu Kurashi Network, translated as Network for Sea People and Life of Fisher Women in Japan since 2003. Our third resource person is Madhu Galapathy, a fourth-year PhD candidate at the School of Environment Resources and Sustainability at the Faculty of Environment, University of Waterloo, Canada. Madhu's research interests broadly include understanding human-environment interactions from a governance perspective. Her doctoral research focuses on the governance opportunities to improve gendered social well-being in the context of dried fish value chains, a subsector within small-scale fisheries. Madhu undertakes her research as part of the Dried Fish Project. Okay. Dried Fish Matters Research Partnership focused on mapping the social economy of dried fish in South and Southeast Asia. Her empirical work is focused on Sri Lanka. So we have very good speakers, so I hope you really stay tuned. So each of our 3 speakers will deliver their message, each for 10 minutes. Before each message, we have a poll question. So again, please be ready with your phones and please participate in the poll. Okay, so before we have Jaria, we have first the poll question, and you can see it flash on your screen. Please participate. Our question is, same Slido account actually. Are women's contribution in SSF of small-scale fisheries recognized in official statistics in your country? So please, okay, there you are. Okay, the numbers moving. Okay, more answers, please. Numbers are moving. We have 57 yes, 36 no, Now 64 yes. Okay, so we wait for the numbers to settle. So we have 14 participants. Please participate. Yeah, there you are. Numbers are moving. Okay, still moving. Numbers are still moving. 30 seconds more. Okay, there you are. I think the numbers have settled. And so we have these answers. No is 60%, yes, 40%. So maybe it's time to call on Jaria to give us her message. Please go ahead.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Good morning, everyone, and sawadee ka. Thank you, Dr. Alice, for giving me the floor. So, for the first presentation that related with the question that you trying to answer, for my presentation, I would like to show you the women in contribution in fishery. Today is I'm going to show you some parts of my study on gender dimension in small-scale fishery value chain in Myanmar and Philippines. This study aims to document women contribution in fishery for Southeast Asian country for strengthening fishery project manager or project development to integrate gender dimension in the fishery project. Next slide, please. Actually, the project is supported by FAO for CITEC and CITEC member country to conduct the study. Why we focus on women? Because women are important in the small-scale fishery. As we can see that 90% of the world fisher worker is in the small scale, and 70% of the global fish catch come from small scale fishery, with further 204 million people involving. Many of women are working in fishery value chain, and 50% of women probably in process and trade. Within the ASEAN country, seafood, there are 60% of women involved in small-scale fishery, like activities such as making of the fishing gear, post-harvest fish processing, and trading. Next, please. This study for today, the study result I will focus on the productive and reproductive role of women and men in the fishing community. So let us start with the daily life of women and men in the small-scale inland fishing in Kwatan, Yangon region, Myanmar. Next, please. In Kwatan, we found that women are work for taking care of the elderly or sick family member, cooking and cleaning the house. Women and men are work together for taking care of the baby and children, house maintenance, work, growing vegetable, raising livestock for household consumption, and participation in the social meeting. Actually, we really see the land work for the reproductive role as the daily routine work. Next, please. For the productive role in the fishing in inland Myanmar, we should show that men work for design tactic or fishing gear, check the boat engine before going to fishing, check the gear and need equipment before go to fishing. Right? And they are go to fishing and they are set out of fishing time because they go alone and bring fishing gear and about fishing gear maintenance is all belonging our work done by men and women assist men in fishing gear and nest maintenance and check and men can help men check the fishing gear, check the weather and tidal. Maybe you didn't see much about the women work for the fish in fishing part, but women in Myanmar they are mainly work for the boat harvest as well. Picture shows you that women work for the chewing fish eye and sorting fish species, side, wet dry fish, and paste making and selling fresh fish. The next result go to the Infanta, Quezon City, Philippines. This is for marine, small scale marine capture fishery. Next, please. Women are main greener that we can see that women work for the watching growth, dish and clean the house. Man is for men, they work for house maintenance, fishing, and livestock for household consumption. Women and men are working together on the child care or take care of the sick member family and participation in social events. Next is in fish processing, fish branding, women and men are working together for marine capture fishery in Fanta and other activity as branding for fishing, preparing fish from here, allure fish to the land area, bargaining of the better price, shipping, collecting of the fishing gear, cleaning of fishing gear, and repairing of the fishing gear are mainly done by men. However, women more participation for activity that not need manpower in fishing. Next, please. So let's see conclusion for this study, the daily life of women and men in fishing community. Women in small scale family work for reproductive growth and then as the daily routine or as a occasional work. In fishery, women work for the fish processing, gear maintenance and marketing, as you already hear all the time for the women contribution in fishery. And women themselves and men are not recognized as women are income generator. When women are involved in the process of the fishery value chain, because there is a strong stereotype of the gender division of labor. Men must work for the hard and heavy or the dry up. This is maybe you are for this one we can say that it still have inequality for the women that because no one recognize themselves at the core also show you that just only 40% that recognize that women are working the fishery. So it means that still now many of us still not value the work that unpaid work for that work by women. So let me show you the last slide, please. This one, I just would like to show you about the curve that we are always here. I told you that we are inequality for the women mostly work in the unpaid work for the household and fishery. in previous, when we did not have any gender lens, when we talking or thinking about fishery, we will thinking about the fishing and capture is mean the man work, and then when we are trying to, when we have the gender range, we try to equality, but equality this doesn't mean that men and women have to work in the same place, that we doesn't want to women to work in the sea, but if women they would like and they have their ability, they can do. We can support them. So, however, in fishery we know that we were into women and men work, so we try to equity them by strengthen women work for post harvest, support them a lot for the post harvesting group, women group for fish processing or something, and we support men for the fishing gear and fishing in the sea. However, we know that we should recognize that women also have the work as the reproductive role in the social and household. It means that if we would like to have to see the social justice, so we need to recognize also that women and men should be in the all parts of the work, in the household and in the fishery. This is for the social justice to achieve gender equality for the women and men in the fishery working place and fishing community. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you. Okay, so there you are. I just opened my camera. Thank you very much, Jaria. So we saw in the results of the poll earlier that more than the majority of our participants said that the women in their country, the contribution of the women in their country are, not recognized in official statistics. And then now we have your presentation saying that the women, and then they are from Infanta Quezon, are involved actually in all the nodes of the value chain, from production to marketing. So specifically in gear preparation, in marketing, and so on. But of course, we still have that problem of undervalued contribution. They're still invisible and so on. But of course, we know that data would show that they are actually there in the chain. So thank you very much for the presentation, Jaria. We now go to the second presentation. But of course, before our presentation by Dr. Kumi, we will have this question again. So please participate in our question. And our next question is, okay, then there you are, still the same account. So are laws and policies in your country supportive of women in fisheries? Please answer. So there you are, the numbers are coming. Okay, numbers are moving. More answers, please. Okay, so there, so more participation. 77%. Okay, so 30 seconds for more participation. Okay, numbers are moving still. Okay, so I think we have reached the numbers are already stable. So again, the question is, are laws and policies in your country supportive of women in fisheries? We have the answers. No, 60. Okay, still moving. Okay, no, 61%, and yes is 39%. We have a total of 19 participants in our Slido. So thank you very much for your participation. I think the final answer here is 63% no, 37% yes. Okay, so Can we now go to our second speaker, Dr. Kumi Shujimat? Please give us your message. Thank you.
I would like to speak the question of roles and policies in the countries for the human fisheries using a Japanese case study based on the paper that I wrote with Dr. Katia Framdorf, who will speak something after this evening session today. Speak this question, we have to know about the characteristics of fisheries cooperative association in the since the FCAs are the official representative of fishers and everyone dealing. The FCA system is structured clearly and direct food rights. The system is perceived as based on equality, on equal distribution and little or no competition. Today, this system, based on one member in the household, has left women and position compared to all the men. One member in the position compared to older male officials in terms of resources rights allocations. Moreover, Nakamichi points out that men dominate FCAs and decision making since they are regular full members. As the years have gone by, this system has led to a significant increase in the number of elderly officials. On the other hand, as the number of fishermen increases and as they age, the fishery industry and fishing communities lose their vitality. So fisheries policies are increasing expectations for women. For example, the Fisheries Basic Plan of 2017 gave FCAs the task of promoting women's participation in the fisheries sector. It would be the National Fisheries Authority expect women to lead the economic development of their communities. This has led to the setting up of entrepreneurial activities for women. To meet this extent, created fishery entrepreneurship groups in order to add value to fish. In particular, women's entrepreneurial groups use local fish with no commercial value, which would otherwise be discarded. At the moment, annual sales are small, $28,000. These businesses are generally small-scale enterprises. Unfortunately, I sometimes hear fisheries officers and male scientists often characterize these small enterprises run by women as just women's farm. However, this is far from the truth. The impact of such activities on the national economy is difficult to evaluate, but for women, it is significant not on the financial level, but also for women's empowerment and gender equality. Next, please. In addition, the seashore revitalization plans, a central pillar of Japanese fisheries policy, were also introduced in 2015. These plans put an emphasis on local community development, a domain in which FCAs have competencies. Thus, FCAs were designated as the institution to implement these plans and to integrate women into new activities. The hope was to increase the income from fishing by at least 10% over a 5-year period through voluntary initiatives. Women's groups already have experiences in processing and creating new products, and their participation in the development of these plans could provide new ideas. However, interviews conducted at the local level showed that these women were not invited by FCAs or did not respond to their requests. A variety of reasons can explain women's absence, including cases where FCAs did not inform women about these plans and the content. Other cases where Asian women did not have the time or the motivation to participate, or cases where women had not been able to prepare and implement community revitalization plans. In addition, there is a lack of participation in decision-making processes regarding women's rights as well as the future of Christian communities. This is despite the Force-Based Plan for Gender Equality of 2015 of Gender Equality Bureau promoting the appointment of women as board members of FCAs. This plan gave women better opportunities to participate in decision-making of FCAs, but for the moment, it is still not being implemented. If women participate in decision-making process FCA, they must be a regular member of FCA. However, the number of female members of the cooperative is about 70,000 of 120,000 total members in 2019. In addition, only 38 women out of about 9,000 were found sitting on FCA's boards. This number represents only 0.4% of the total board members. According to the FCA law, to be a regular member, you should define within the district of the cooperative in question, engage in fishery business or engage in fishery work during a certain number of days decided upon by the association, for example, 90 to 120 days during the year. Only if applicants meet these basic criteria can they become a regular member. In theory, these rules allow women to become regular members of the cooperative because the floor fishing is not limited to work at sea, but also implies work on land. So women working on land could apply for membership. However, many cases show that cooperatives is set as a main condition the number of days spent at sea. For example, one woman leading women's entrepreneurship group was also leading the FCA Fisheries Women's Group and the National Federation of FCA Women's Groups. Students at the local, prefecture, and the national levels and lobbying for women's recognition. However, when she requested to become a regular FCA member, she was rejected. This is due to the condition of excluding women working on land and only allows people working in fisheries at sea to be members. Probably the main factor preventing women from being regular FC members is that their contribution to fisheries is not recognized. Fisheries laws have until now not recognized women's unseen contribution to the fisheries industry. Seen from agenda perspectives, the Japanese cooperatives' first priorities have been the management of marine resources for their success in this field. But gender equity goals have yet to be reflected in FC membership. Elderly men and former fishers that are unable to fish are FCA's regular members and manage the resources and maintain their influence and the power within the FCAs. However, in some FCAs, membership has dropped to a point where the organization cannot be maintained. In some cases, elderly male members have finally decided to allow women to become regular members in an effort to boost membership numbers. Women are acceptable as regular members only when the FCA survival is at stake. However, as the structure of FCAs through law and through local best practices is maintained, the main focus system continues at least for the time being. Example of women entrepreneurship offer hope for renewal and revitalization of fishing communities. They have the possibility of recognition of women's invisible contribution to fisheries by changing the main focus decision structure that still exists. In order to move forward, the male-dominated vision of FCAs and of official plans and laws must be replaced by policies that serve both women and men. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kumi. Earlier in the poll question, more than the majority again of our participants said that the women contributions are not recognized in their laws and policies, or their policies are not supportive of women in fisheries. And you gave us the case of Japan, but there was a slide that you have showed us, which is I think very encouraging, that there are many women in various regions of Japan creating women's fisheries entrepreneurship groups. And I think I have seen a number of videos of women in fisheries in Japan. And you said here that the impact on women is significant for the finance level, women empowerment, and of course, gender equality. And then your next presentation showed that still it's a male-focused system. Women are not that, in the Fisheries Cooperative Association. But we look forward to the day when more women will be members of the Fisheries Cooperative Associations. Okay, so now we will have our third speaker, but before we go to the message of Madhu, we have this question. Do please share with us a question. Again, please use your phone, and you can also use the link provided to you in the chat box. Our next question is, there you are. How can research pay better attention to the study of gender issues in small-scale fisheries? Okay, we have a word cloud showing your answers. There you are. Okay, integrating gender, more budget, persistence. Look at the whole value chain. Okay, more answers, please. Okay, streamline gender, more women. Okay, please, more answers. This aggregated data as I think it's a rule. I think that's the answer there. Okay, more answers. Okay, there you are. We have a number of answers. More women, mainstream gender, more budget, persistence. See women's contribution. Speak with the people. Okay. Creating space. More women researchers. Girls who fish. Holistic value chain. Okay. Speak with the people. I think that's the biggest, most popular answer. Speak with the people. We know that is the, yeah, speak with the people. Okay, it's stabilizing. So we have here the most popular answer, speak with the people. So again, the question, how can research pay better attention to the study of gender issues in small-scale fisheries? So far, the most popular answer here is speak with the people. Okay, it's still moving. Okay, and more answers. Mainstream gender, more budget. Okay, or value chain, streamline gender, and so on and so forth. We have very good answers here. But of course, the most common, yeah, there you are, more women coming out as a popular answer also. Speak with the people. Okay, so there you are. Okay, again, there's also persistence. I think these are the three common answers. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation. And now I would like to call on Madhu to please give us your message.
So the purpose of my presentation is to draw from my research work and to share some reflections and ideas about how research can pay better attention to gender dimension. So this is the outline of my research. I will start with a brief overview about my research, and then I will share a few key reflections on how we can pay better attention to gender as a topic of study, and then I will end with a few key takeaway messages. So this is a brief overview to my research. I studied dried fish value chain, and when we talk about dried fish value chain, it comprises a subsector within small-scale fisheries and as well as fisheries more broadly. And when we talk about dried fish, we bring attention to land-based activities and the post-harvest mode of the value chain. And women comprise about 50 to 60% of the workforce who are drying or processing fish, and their experiences are very diverse. And for example, there are issues like pay gaps and lack of access to profitable markets, and then various kinds of discriminations like discrimination in hiring and in payments, and then various other issues like even sexual harassment. So the specific questions that I'm studying in my research is the development opportunities to improve the well-being of women and men. And in doing so, I draw from several concepts, gender and intersectionality, and then governance and social well-being. And I look at all those concepts within the context of the fish value chain. And my field research is based in Sri Lanka. So I work with coastal and inland dried fish producing community. And my research is part of a partnership project called Dried Fish Matters. And the partnership looks at social economies of dried fish in South and Southeast Asia. So this is the first point that I would like to make. And it is about research gaps. Of course, I'm a student, so I have to talk about the research gaps. So we have had a history of many decades, over 4 decades of study, gender as a topic within fisheries research, but still there are very important and persistent gaps that need to be understood. And small-scale fisheries following agenda has written about this gap. And an example would be that we need to understand the root causes of gender inequity. So these root causes could be gender power relations or gender norms that restrict women's ability to participate equitably in value chain. And then another aspect is that we need to better understand how gender issues link with other broader societal issues such as social injustices, vulnerabilities and marginalization, and of course the sustainability within the broader context. And a hurdle in this direction is lack of gender disequity, and we saw that coming up in our work out as well. And in general, there's oversight on women's roles and contribution within the whole research space. So that is something we need to consider if we are to adjust the gender lens. So next point is about frameworks and approaches. Gender experiences are very diverse and very complex, and they vary across geographies and from context to another context, and also across scales from local to national to global. So therefore, this complexity requires us to be able to apply thorough and broad frameworks that are capable of capturing that complexity. But we have some limitations there, so therefore we need to develop integrated frameworks that help us better study and gain a fuller understanding of what women are going through, what their experiences are like. So like I mentioned, intersectionality is a concept or framework that I'm looking at, and this concept in particular brings attention to how gender overlap with other social structures that impact how women live their experiences. So social structures such as ethnicity, national status, age. So these structures work together with gender to shape their overall experience. Yeah, so drawing from my work, this is an integrated framework that we developed, and this is specifically looking at the dried fish value chain context. I won't go too much into details, but to make a quick point. So we start with the outer circles at the periphery. So those are the social structures that interact with gender. And then at the intersection is where everything happens, where women and men are employed and the roles they play and where they are placed, and then it influences their livelihoods and the social well-being that they are able to generate from a broader sense. So the aim in developing this framework and what we are trying to understand here is what we call thick descriptions of gender relations for gendered experiences, and that means we are trying to simultaneously look at gender as well as these other structures and try to understand the overall experience that the women are going through. So my next point is around the applied understandings that we need and how local perspectives are important in doing so. So here we are, in terms of applied understanding, we need to understand and do our that can inform various interventions, various legislations, various policies. So we need to figure out what the entry points are for real change to happen. So those are insights that I'm trying to understand in my research. So what we are aiming here in order to develop that applied understanding is to bring local perspective. Came up at the opening remarks that we need to understand, we need to connect with the fishers, connect with the cooperatives, connect with everyone who has a stake in the process in order for us to figure out how solutions can be figured out, the solutions, kind of solutions that can at the local level. So what we are trying to, in order for us to do this, we are aiming to bring women's and men's lived experiences to the center of the research process, compared to keeping them at the periphery. And then in doing so, we are trying to foreground our research in the struggles. The real disciplinary approaches are key in doing so, and we need to cut across science, policy, and practice in order to make those connections and to figure out solutions that really work at the ground scale. And the co-designing of the interventions, of the changes that need to be implemented, that all those comes under the transdisciplinary approach. And we also need to, our research, we also need to align with the recent calls for knowledge to inform policy and practicing interventions. So we are in the recent past increasingly seeing these calls in the context of gender research, and then these are related to the high-level commitments and the investment that are ongoing, such as the SSF guideline implementation, and we also have the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. We have SDGs, so we have SDG about gender, SDG 5, and then connections between SDG 5 and 14 are still emerging. And then, of course, very recently we had the impacts of the pandemic that we are going to need to address in order for us to do that. Okay, so just to quickly recap, so the key messages are, if we are to pay the attention to the study of gender issues in the small scale fisheries, we need to bring, identify the specific gaps and around that are capable of capturing the, capable of producing a rich picture of what, of the experiences, and that will require and then we need to understand the local perspectives and develop applied understanding to figure out the entry points to catalyze meaningful change and build for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Madhu. Earlier, we had the question answered by our participants in the session. So again, the question was, how can research pay better attention to the study of gender issues in small-scale fisheries? And we had the answers from our session participants. The most common one was speak with the people, and I think that was also a message here by given to us by Madhu. And then we had persistence, more women. There was a liderazgo femenino, which I would say this is a female leadership. And then women leaders, we need more women leaders. And I think more women is about more women conducting gender research. So, and then of course, we had the presentation of Madhu, and she ended with a very good recommendation. The last slide, she said that we need to pay attention to pertinent gaps and limitations in current body of knowledge. Although there's growing attention, but still a lot of gaps are seen. And then adopt a more better frameworks, like integrated frameworks and approaches to broaden conceptual and analytical scope of study. And of course, most important, what she mentioned is bringing in local perspectives and applied understandings toward identifying entry points to catalyze meaningful change and build forward better. So thank you very much, Madhu. Of course, thank you very much to Jaria, to Kumi, and to Madhu. Very important messages from our resource persons with the case studies from the Philippines, Japan, and Sri Lanka. So I think it's about time that we go to our Q&A. So please use the Q&A box where to type in your question. So please type in your question in the Q&A box. We will pick up questions from there. Okay, so but before we go to our questions from our session participants, we will have again a question. Okay, and this is to be answered by our first by our session participants, and then we will hear from our speakers. Okay, the question, please participate the same Slido account, and then please again take a look at the chat box for the Slido link. Okay, so the question is, how can we make men more supportive of women's efforts in fisheries? Please check the chat box. You can find the link. Okay, so our question now is, how can we make men more supportive of women's efforts in fisheries? Okay. So please access the Slido. Okay, encourage men for support. Okay, more answers. More answers. This is a difficult question. How can we make men more supportive of women's efforts in fisheries? There you are. Inclusion. Highlight the benefits. Spread awareness. Okay, more answers, please. Generando general conscience, is that it? That's a translation. Generando conciencia. Okay. Incentivize efforts. Give freedom. More opportunities for women. Okay, more answers, please. Okay. Highlight benefits, encourage more men, spread awareness. We have here from the chat box, find champions among men. Thank you, Nerika. This is from Nerika in the chat box. Okay, more answers, please. More opportunities, awareness development for men. Well-being as value. Highlight benefits. Two answers actually, just one is highlight the benefits, the other is highlight benefits. Another one from Richard, highlight their importance. Gender transformation. We are generating a number of answers. That's good, that's good. Okay, another 30 seconds and we will close this Slido. Give freedom, be a partner. Yeah, nice. Upgraded knowledge. Have more men participate. So we have various answers for the question, how can we make men more supportive of women's efforts in fisheries? Okay. So there, we are about to close this question. So we have varied answers, incentives, provide incentives, and so on. Gender transformation, inclusion, women's women's work. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation. Okay, can we now have Madhu, Kumi, and Jaria, please open your video or camera so that we can see you, and we will start from you. Yes, please give us your thoughts on this question. How can we make men more supportive of women's efforts in fisheries? Can we start with Jaria?
To answer this question, I do writing the answer on awareness building, and so for me, I have many trained about the gender. They will start with the gender concept. We need to know about sex and gender is different. So I think we should bring this concept and this knowledge to the community, into men and women in the community, for them to understand, and the men they will know that our opportunity and our responsibility that carried by women, they can help women to do that too. And it means that they can see the important and value each other duty and response. So I think I do agree with the try to build up the gender awareness in local people, to men and women, especially to the local decision maker. Thank you very much.
Okay, so can we have Kumi?
Yes, it's a really difficult question, but I think it needs more chance to learn about gender for men, because, for example, in Japan, there are some workshops about gender by prefectural government training course, but these are all for fisherwomen, not for men. So men don't have a chance to learn about gender. So it should increase the chance, I think. That's all.
Thank you, Kumi. And can we have Madhu? Before I give it to Madhu, please, if you have questions from the presentations, clarification maybe, please type in your questions or comments in the Q&A box. Okay, we will pick questions from there later. Okay, please, Madhu.
So I think what the research is showing so far, and especially in the context of co-management arrangement, is that when women and men work together, when they collaborate, collaboration lead to better outcomes. So in order for it to happen, I think there are a couple of ways that I can think of that how it can be done. The first one is openness among the men to include women where they were previously excluded, or even policies where women were completely recognizing the contributions that women do, and therefore including them in order for the solutions and the decisions and the action to be better. And another aspect is to recognize women as legitimate actors in their own right, not as subordinates or helpers, or not as friends of husbands or partners. We see in some cases that that is what is happening. And also like communication, perhaps also not as rescuers when the cooperative state is at stake. So if women are to be recognized as legitimate actors, then there needs to be value to their perspectives, and those perspectives that the women bring need to be recognized with equal footing, because they also interact with the fisheries resources, and often they interact differently with the resources, and often in like inshore areas and shallow waters and intervening, and through activities like that, they have developed a huge body of understanding and knowledge. So they are holders of knowledge as well, not just supporters or helpers. So if we are to recognize all those aspects and if attitude and the action and the norms towards women are to be changed, and I think that could make some change happen.
Thank you very much, Jaria, Madhu, and Kumi for answering our first question. We are now ready to receive questions coming from the session participants. Here online, we do not have in the Q&A box, but I think maybe on-site questions coming from the on-site participants. Okay. We have on-site question?
Yes, we have one. So, she's Nikki Gypsy. She's from the women's group of the UB Fisheries Corporate Association. And and she has a question to ask.
Let's try this one. This is a question from Kate. So this is directed to any of the speakers. Kate Barkley asks this question. Madhu, Jaria, and Kumi, please. There's a question already from session participants. Can any of the speakers give examples of activities that led to greater acceptance and understanding of women's roles in fisheries? Who would like to start? Jaria will, Madhu? Okay, go ahead, please. Let's try this. If you can answer this question already.
Yes, so I can start and I can give you one example. From governance point of view, what we see works and what brings recognition and acceptance for women and their roles is when their activities are specifically and deliberately linked to specific elements of governance. So to give an example, when, for example, traditional user rights of women are recognized through traditional user terms are traditional usage. It's a license that recognizes, and so it gives them permission to enter that space, that resource space, like shallow waters, and do their fishing activities. And these are traditional waters that were previously weren't accessible for women. And when laws and policies recognize and provide them with access in very legitimate kind of ways, then that brings acceptance and understanding of their roles. I can think of a quick example from Chile about women's entrance into artisanal fisheries. So what has happened there is previously, so there was this famous sentence that says, we used to ask for permission, but now we just give notice. So that says that women have been empowered and they have been able to access, they are actually being enabled to use new laws and policies in order for them to continue their livelihood in very successful ways.
So, and I think we can go to Jaria for her answer.
Okay. For me, I can show the case study of our member country in Laos period that in Namso, so they know they recognize the women contribution in as big processing. So they try to enhance the fish processing there. Actually, they try to group them together and give them knowledge on sanity and push packaging for the fish products in there. So then in this program, about 5 years, they can increase income of the women from $1 to $10 per day. So this is the one, I think the success case study that they try to focus on the women's contribution in fishery and strengthen their knowledge and their capability. Thank you.
Kumi, would you like to answer?
Yes, I will introduce one case study in Japan. Koshima in Yamaguchi Prefecture is in western of main island, and there are small turtle next area, and the catches is very small and variety, so they cannot sell at the wholesale market high cost. So the wives of fishermen sell directly to consumers, and about 90% of husband catches, the wives sell about 90% of husband catches. So husband know and recognize the wife selling work is really important for their household. So when the woman in Hikoshima area requested to become a regular FCA member, male members, all male members of FCA agreed that. So it's a really typical case study, I think.
Okay, so our resource speakers gave their answers. So I hope those in the Zoom room was able to catch it. But I know that those in the session room, your answers are very clear. It's just we have some audio issues here. Anyway, anyone who has a question, kindly type in your answer, your questions here in the Q&A box. If not, then maybe we can allow if you raise your hand. You can raise your hand, just click the raise hand button and we can recognize you to ask your question. But I think this is only for those who are in the panelist room. In the attendees room, it's really just the Q&A box. Okay, so I think we have only 15 minutes for this session. Am I correct? And then anyone who has a question? Okay, Ratana has a question.
So I guess my question is, we have been talking about gender, at least our researchers, we know about the gender issues for a long time in terms of, the invisibility of women in small-scale fisheries. But we are still talking about it today as if there has been no recognition or no work, basically, by researchers on this very topic. So I wonder whether we can think of something very innovative, very creative in our thinking. I just want to challenge everyone about this, because 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we talked about it. And it seems that we are still talking about it as if none of the research, nobody has done any research on gender. So to me, we have made a lot of progress in the research in gender to improve gender equity. We also know that organizations have done a lot of effort, have made a lot of effort in promoting awareness about gender equity and also empowering women. I'm just wondering, what is it that we have not done? What is a missing element? Because there must be something else. We are talking about, the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. We have the small-scale fisheries guidelines. We have gender equity, equality as part of SDG. What would be the new, the newest, the most exciting I want to just us to try to think a little bit harder in terms of what is it that we have not said or done to make it possible? And I think the answer might have to come from men. I think a lot of women doing research on women, but I want to talk to men and ask men, what is it that we and us, right, need to do? Okay, so I'm turning to Mike, who is in the room, putting him on the spot.
So I think the question of Ratana was basically, we've done so much, but there's still this problem of invisibility and all. So what is it that we have missed? What is the missing element? I hope I was able to capture that well. So I think that was a question raised by Ratana, right? What is it that we have missed?
Thank you, Ratana, and thank you, Alice. I guess one response to the question would be to highlight the benefits, I suppose, was one of the comments that came up earlier. And I find, when you can engage men in these processes of, for example, gender disaggregated data collection, improving representation of women in governance, if you can engage men in that process as well, all the way through, then it's less likely to have the sorts of results of, being seen purely as women's business or women's box for women and so on. And so I think, by engaging men throughout that process and highlighting the potential benefits that can be gained working together, then you're more likely to get a better result. That's an answer that I've, off the top of my head, but that is informed by, working in some projects where I've seen efforts to promote role of women in small-scale fisheries get sidelined somewhat by not also engaging men in that process as well.
Okay, so it was Mike. Mike, thank you, Mike, for the answer. It was Mike who did answer the question. Anyone who would like to answer? Anybody else? Okay, so given the time, it's already 11:20, so I think we are down to our last question. Is it okay, Ratana? Let's ask our last question. Okay, so I think in the interest of time, we will have our last question, and I think we need our session participants again to join us in answering this last question. So please, again, be ready with your cell phone, and again, there is the link available to you in the chat box. And maybe you are receiving already an invite to join us in the panelist room. Please accept the invitation so that you can join us in the photo session later. So those who are in the attendees room, they receive invitation to join us in the panelist room. Once the invite flashes on the screen, please accept so that you can join us later in the photo session. So here is our last question, and please do participate. This is a very important question. So how can we achieve gender equality in the future? Again, there is a link. You can click on the chat box, the Slido link. Again, our question is, how can we achieve gender equality in the future? More opportunities for women, education, bringing men. More answers, please. Disaggregated data, information, working together, information dissemination, disaggregated data, education. Education is a popular answer. Transformation, partnership, cultural change for men, gender-based data. More answers, please. This is our last question, but of course, there's a last question later. But this is in our Q&A portion. Last question for the Q&A. Okay, you can read the gender-sensitive policy. So from Richard again, promote women in leadership roles in fisheries organizations. Okay. Women unity, gender-sensitive policies. Okay, education and opportunity, platform for women, gender mainstreaming, working with policymaker, equal involvement, working with industry, participative, I think, decision making, this one. Okay, 30 seconds. Again, you can participate by clicking the Slido link available on the chat box, or you can scan the QR code to join the Slido. Okay, still it's education at the center of all these answers here. You can see it on your screen. Okay, and more answers. Increase men awareness. Okay, learn from success. What did I miss? Women leadership. Disseminate success. So we have a lot of suggestions or answers to our question on how can we achieve gender equality in the future. And I think at the center of all these answers is education. Education. So education has a big role to play in ensuring gender equality in the future based on your answers. So here it is. So thank you very much. We are about to close our Slido. And of course, I would like to request our speakers to give their final message. You have seen the answers to our question from our session participants. Okay, we start again with Jaria. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Alice. Yes, we have the long journey for the gender integration in many areas and also in the fishery. I think it's difficult because the gender is the perspective. We have to share people thinking about the gender and how it's important. So now we are trying to bring up the women contribution in fishery to show how they are important in the fishery value chain. So to achieve the gender equality, I think we are now a lot of the answer is a lot, especially I do agree with them on the education also. Even as the researcher in the fishery, we are now will educate a lot about the gender integration and gender mainstreaming in fishery. So for me, I think I'm buying with this concept, and I really would like to promote this concept for the gender researcher and gender project manager on the gender, on how to integrate gender in the fishery for achieving the gender equality. So I think we still have to working on this, and we hope to see the achieving in the future, because I think many countries already follow the UN and ADDC we go to achieving gender equality, I think it's our opportunity to promote it, and maybe hopefully that really high level will agree and will allow us to more have the interaction in existing community for gender equality. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kumi, please.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity. As Dr. Ratana mentioned too, I sometimes wonder why gender equality is still not achieved when it is clear that women also contribute to fishing, especially through that work in many countries and communities. Of course, this isn't just about the fishing sector, it's in every field. When interviewing fishermen, I sometimes hear comments that highly evaluate their wife's contribution for their fishing. But why can't they evaluate women as a group, even if they admit it individually? I would like to continue to think about how this kind of society can change through research. This is one of what I can do for achieving gender equality in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumi, and message from Madhu.
So, a course that I'm grappling with in terms of achieving gender equity approaches that are gender transformative. So those are the approaches that I have been trying to understand how they work, how what kind of knowledge is needed to figure out the entry point to those type of approaches and solutions that seek to achieve the outcome. Perhaps a couple of ways that we could make those change happen could be through empowerment, so providing truly empowering experiences for women. And we know that there are many ways to understand empowerment, but what I realize is when women are given the strategic, given the opportunity to make strategic life choices, and those are the women who have been denied those choices before. So that's one way. And of course, from a government perspective, meaningful inclusion of women in decision making in order for them to make contributions to the decisions and actions that impact them. And another thing might be around shifting gender norms and attitudes that sort of hold that and undermine women's efforts. So those are the things that I think. Thank you.
Okay, so there you are. That was our last message for this session from our resource persons. So we would like to say thank you to Jaria, to Kumi, and to Madhu. And well, from us here from the Zoom virtual participants, we would like to say thank you to you. So I hope you like our gift to you. There you are. So thank you very much. It's a virtual bouquet of flowers saying our appreciation for your patience in answering our questions and also, of course, giving us your messages. So now we have the last question, I think. This is really about what is your main takeaway from this session. We are not yet at the end. We are still to listen from Yinji and to Ratana, and then we still have our photo session. And please, if the invitation appears on your screen to join us in the panelist room, that is really because we want you to join us in the photo session later. So this is our last question. What is your main takeaway from this session? So please, again, The Slido link is available on the chat box. So just click it so you can join the Slido poll here. So what are your key takeaways from this session? Okay, so there you are. We already have one entry here, gender equality. More answers, please. What is your key takeaway from this session? Okay, anything else? So this is just our key takeaway, gender equality. More answers, please, from our participants. There you are, research on women's role. 2 answers already. More answers, please. Gender equity. Change gender norms. Bottom-up change is key. Women empowerment. Research on women's role. Gender equality is the biggest in the cloud. Okay, more answers. Informative. Change institutions. We need more women. Structural change. Okay, more answers are coming. More answers are coming. Okay. Still a way to go. Yeah, still a long road to take. Gender discussion. Yeah, we need that. More of that. Intersectionality. So remember from the presentation of Madhu that intersectionality. Change gender norms. Okay. Yeah, there you are. 3 big words right in front of us. These are gender equality, intersectionality, still await. Okay, it's yeah, it's moving. The cloud is moving, and right now the biggest word is intersectionality. Then followed by gender equity, informative, still a way to go. Gender equality, increase awareness. We have new answers here. Okay, we have informative and intersectionality, the biggest words as main takeaways. Okay. And so there you are. So 30 more seconds and we will close this poll. Okay, and so far the biggest word we have here is intersectionality. It's still moving, and then we have gender equity still, gender equality still a way to go, informative. So these are actually reminders to all of us. We still have a long way to go for this quest for gender equality. So there you are. We have answers, very good answers. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation. We now close this poll. Okay, and so Yinji and Ratana, we are not to hear any reminders because of our audio problem. But I think Ratana and Yinji just would like to remind us of the sessions that will come after this gender session. This is just the first, so we have until tomorrow and the next day, and then of course tonight I think there's a public I don't know, I forgot the term being used, but we have programs until tonight. So please watch and take a look at the program for us, especially those in the in the on-site. So I know everybody is excited because that's a face-to-face meeting on site. Of course, us here in the virtual room just see our faces and hear our voices. So thank you very much for your participation. And before we close, I think we need, are we ready for our photo session? So, but I think there are only 6 of us in the panelists, and these are the only people who can access their camera. So just us, Madhu, where are they now? People are Lu, Jaria, and Kumi. Please, Hannah, please, can you? Yeah, there you are, the three of you. Yeah, that's Hannah there. And Sufakarn, can you join us? And of course, Nami Tamano, because she's the one who was opening all those slides and making sure that we can see from the on-site. Okay. Namikawa, can you join us? We saw you earlier, so please just open your camera. Unfortunately, our attendees could not join us. They cannot open their video or their camera. So okay, so just let's just have a 1, 2, 3, just for remembrance of this session. Thank you very much. There you are. I got it ready. Luke, can you please have a backup, please? Yeah, okay. There. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for this session, for joining this session, especially to our Zoom participants who have actively answered all the polls, and of course to Jaria, to Kumi, and to Madhu, and to Hannah for the interpretation, and to Suparan joining us, and then of course Namikawa. And then, so I think we are all done. Thank you very much, everyone. So please do not forget there's an upcoming session, so you can also join that session. Thank you very much. We are signing off from the Philippines. So take care, everyone. Keep safe always.